The best description of what an angel is in scientific terms is provided by Aryeh Kaplan in a monumental work, Resurrection, Immortality, and the Age of the Universe. And he talks about those topics, and one of the things that he touches upon, remember he was a Mikubal, he was a mystic, and he had a doctorate in physics. One of the things he touches upon is angels, what the concept is, how they're associated with celestial bodies, how they are spiritual beings but must latch onto something physical in order to interact in the physical universe, and other descriptions of them, and how fits these things in scientifically.
Going back to Satan.
Yes.
You mentioned the book of Job.
Yes. With a conversation between Satan and the Lord.
And Satan tempts the Lord.
And it's interesting that it does seem like that.
And he becomes the destroyer of the household.
We would have to have a class just on Job to get into this.
That would be a great class.
We could do that in the future. We can't do it tonight, but that might be an interesting thing to do. It would be a long talk around. There is, if you look at the simple, just the text, Satan baits and tricks God. That's what it appears. It's like a na. Yeah, Job is so great, but I'll bet you, if you were to mess up his life, he wouldn't be so faithful to you. And then it's as if God falls for it. He says, no, my servant Job will be faithful to me, and you'll see. And, God, of course, turns out to be right, and Job really never does cop out on his responsibility and on his, allegiance and loyalty to God and all that. He just sort of does almost the natural human thing. He gives up on life. He gives up on life itself. He gives up on himself because he can't give up on God. There was this great story that Anita showed me once before a Yom Kippur that would be so much more impressive than most of the martyrologies that we have in the Machzor. It was the story of this Jew in Spain who had fled the Inquisition, and most of his family had been murdered by the church officials in the Inquisition, and he flees Spain to go out to the Canary Islands. And then inquisitors come out there to the Canaries, and they're rounding up the Jews and everything there. And he flees there on another boat with his immediate family. And then, in a storm, the boat is wrecked, and he's tossed up on a rock. His family is killed, the boat is destroyed, it's storming, it's raging, and he screams out to God, no matter what you do to me, you won't make me give up on you. Yeah.
It seems like a game that you can't win. It's like a setup. With all this, the evil stuff tempting you. I don't think we understand why.
That is what we believe Olam Haba is for. That Mishalem Sachar Tov L'Reyav. That God will faithfully repay in goodness those who have been in awe of Him. That's what the world to come is. This world is not, one of the Talmudic descriptions is that this is the entrance hall, and after death comes the banquet hall. Now in the entrance hall, what you would do is that you would preen and primp. You would prepare your outfit and check your hair and your makeup or mustache or whatever it is, and then you would be escorted into the main hall. And if you didn't do it there in the entrance hall, that was it. Then you looked disheveled for the rest of the banquet. There would not be another chance to fix yourself up. The only mirrors were out there in the entrance hall. And that's what this world is about. This world is about getting yourself fixed up for the next.
I wish somebody told me that.
Let me ask you this. Let me give you this perspective from life. Think about things in your youth or even childhood that were monumentally awful, let's say. It may have been a spanking. It may have been your first boyfriend who dumped you or cheated on you. It may have been all sorts of things that at the time you may have honestly wished, I would rather die than go through this. Then it is 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 years that you look back on some of those events and they're almost laughable now. But you are still the same person, still locked in the physical universe. The difference between an after-death perspective must be multiplied 1,000-fold to that, to where you could look back on all loss and suffering and everything that you went through in this life and see it in its perspective, from the perspective of eternity. Eternity is a place where there is no loss and no lack, and all human beings are united again, at least in a spiritual sense. And it is from that perspective that we would view the sculpting of our souls that was supposed to take place in life. That is our view of the world to come. Yes?
But do you ever ask yourself, if I had my life to live over again, would I do or be the same person or make the same judgments or mistakes or whatever? If I had my life to live over.
The tough part about the game of life is two things: no timeouts and no do-overs. And that's just life. No timeouts, no do-overs. Well, I don't know that myself, mind you. Those are from people older and wiser that have shared that little piece with me. There are no timeouts, there are no do-overs. It advances forward, you cannot backtrack. You have to do ba'asher hu sham, with the situation in which we are at this moment. That's what we have to deal with.
But your first lecture said that we believe we, quote, because I don't, but we believe in reincarnation.
Yes.
So maybe there are do-overs.
Well, you don't come back as the same person in the same time in the same circumstances. Our belief in Gilgul nefashot means that your soul goes on to another existence in another physical body, that you can be born again. We are taught that you don't have a memory of a past life, and ultimately, what I'm talking about, your physical life in this world, can also mean all your physical lives, maybe 100 times. But ultimately, you transcend the physical universe to be in the spiritual realm. That is something virtually every Eastern belief has in common.